Call the Devils Lake City Commission to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, approval of the minutes of November 17th, 2025.
Take a motion to approve.
Commissioner Eulenkamp. Seconded by Commissioner Pierce. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Awards and proclamations, nothing at this time, nothing under public hearing. No bid openings. Visitors and delegations, we had the Lake Region Health District Health on the agenda, but unable to attend. I guess at this time, they would just probably like the check awarded tonight, or?
It's on the list of bills.
Okay, so we'll just take that up.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll move on from there, and I guess we'll go right into Commissioner portfolios, and we'll start with Commissioner Kanowski.
Mike, sewer, water?
Just an update, the crew's been working to shut down lift stations. We have a lot of lift stations, stormwater lift stations, many associated with the dike. So there's a process that they go through for preparing them for winter. They've been doing a lot of things, just prepping for the white stuff that's coming, cold weather that's ahead of us, I think. Other than that, I have nothing, Commissioner, unless you have questions.
Yeah, I have nothing. Thank you, Mike. Nothing, sir.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hatch?
Mike, anything from sanitation?
Nothing for sanitation tonight.
Anything from engineering?
We have a couple items on the agenda, but other than that, I have nothing to report.
Okay, thank
We
you.
did make some interim repairs, I should mention, for Commissioner Eulenkamp's. She'll be asking me when we get to her portfolio, but we did some interim fix in one of the alleys downtown. It isn't perfect, it's not the way we want it, but based on the time of year and what we needed to do, we made a fix to minimize the bird bath or the water standing in the alley in one particular location. We'll have a pay estimate there. That's the reason why we're keeping the contract open, so that we can make the repairs next summer, next spring. That's the life for engineering. Unless you have questions.
I have nothing. Rob?
I've got an agenda item coming up. Other than that, everything's pretty quiet on my end, unless you have questions for me.
Nothing.
Okay, sounds good. Commissioner Eulenkamp?
Well, Mike already answered mine, so. Oh, I don't have anything else. We don't have any mosquitoes. We don't have any weeds. No, cemetery. I don't know. What's going on over there?
Dying to get in.
Dying to get in. Anything exciting?
We have 38 new Christmas decorations, if you've noticed.
Oh, yes, I did see that. They look great.
Mhm.
Why do some of them not light up? I've had that question asked.
Wow. Boy.
There's a couple things going on. If they're new, there's issues with ground fault, GFI outlets. They're charged and they're not charged, so they don't have power unless the lights are on. And that wears out GFIs, and so we've had issues with them over time. We've replaced them. Seems like they last for a period of time. The crew is supposed to be making repairs on those, so if you see some that aren't lit, they should be taken care of, or they're on the list to be taken care of. If some don't look as nice as others, I have a daughter that is very critical of our Christmas decorations. And she lets me know, why is that candy cane look like that? Some of them have been around for some time. They take a beating in the weather when they're up. And some look like they've been hit with a weed whip. But if you look at we've purchased 38 new Christmas decorations. I would like that to continue. We do have some money budgeted next year for a few more, but nothing like the ones that we have put up. So that's all I have for streets, unless you have questions.
I got nothing. I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Pierce?
Chief Bennett called me. He doesn't have anything to report for today. It's his anniversary, so he's spending it with his wife. From the last Law Enforcement Center Board meeting, there was an agreement to start negotiate, or have the attorney start negotiations on a certain plot of land for the new, at least proposed law enforcement center. So we'll wait to hear back on that. And the only other thing I have is, didn't know if you saw it or not, but Devil's Lake's been ranked one of the best ice fishing spots in the country for 2026 by Fishing Booker. It was a post put up by Visit Devil's Lake, North Dakota. So we made it on that. And I want to say congratulations to everybody involved in that. And other than that, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
You asked the question at the last meeting regarding the speaker system downtown. I had Susie look into it. She had Eisenhammer Jeremy look into it, come up with a simple fix. It sounds like it'll be, it's running now.
Okay.
So
I appreciate
wanted to
that.
make
Thank
sure that was taken care of, and it was minimal cost, to my understanding, an amplifier type thing and some revamping of the music. Didn't sound too
Great. Thank
difficult. So, anyway, just wanted to follow up with that because
Appreciate it.
I think we were all looking at who was taking charge of that. And I thought, well, we'll see what we can do.
As long as they get their answers and it works for them, that I
Sure.
appreciate it.
Chief?
We do not have anything for you, Mayor. Unless you have any
Okay.
questions for me.
No, everything. Spencer?
Just a couple things coming up for next week. We'll have, or next commission meeting, we'll have just some routine updates to the employee policy manual. Last time it was updated about 2 years ago. So just for the beginning of the year, we'll get that before you. And then hopefully be able to bring you guys final approval of the 2026 capital improvement plan. We were kind of waiting to get some more information on the PD relocation. We've got, we had the 2 preliminary reports from the 2 architects. Mike was going back and forth with them, getting some details cleared up. We have 1 finalized report, waiting for the second one, and then hopefully we'll be able to release those to you guys as soon as the next meeting or thereafter, and give you guys an idea of what we're looking at as far as costs and scope in the effort to relocate to PD. And then municipal court position is open. It was Kelsey's last day today, so that job is advertised, closes the 19th of December. And then there's Shade Tree Committee meeting on Wednesday here at Seattle. Other than that, so right now.
Thank you. Jason, have you got anything other than the first readings that are coming up?
Just the first readings, there's 5 ordinances on the agenda under new business, and I'll discuss those when we get to that point.
Okay, thank you. Anything else for any other commission? If not, we'll move on. Old business, we have nothing at this time. Nothing on the consent agenda. Now we'll go into new business and on first reading of ordinance 1028, North Dakota Telephone Company franchise agreement. And there will be 4 others following that all deal with that also. So Jason, if you want to take over.
Sure. First, I'd like to thank Mike Grafsgaard for his help reviewing and providing comments. Also working with Jamie Beck at NDTC. So Mike has been a lot of help for this. Also, some background. Right now, there's 2 franchise agreements in the municipal code that apply to NDTC. That's not necessary. And it appears that occurred back when there was such a thing as cable TV, and we had that coax cable in our home. So the existence of those 2, we'll see that one of them is being repealed. But as to the first ordinance, 1028, all this is a name change for Chapter 1337, saying what it is, a non-exclusive agreement with NDTC for communications system. Again, it's a first reading, no action needs to be taken at this time.
Okay, any commissioners have any questions or comments? If not, we'll move to second one and first reading of ordinance 1029, North Dakota Telephone Company franchise agreement. There again, Jason, is there anything to comment?
Just real quick, this has been added to include the different services that the NDTC provides, so broadband, video, telephone. Instead of keeping it at just cable, it's really the entire service that they provide. And really, NDTC would just say fiber optic, and that covers everything. But just to be clear, we've added that terminology into this section.
Okay, any questions of the commission? If not, we'll move on to the third one. First reading of ordinance 1030, the North Dakota Telephone Company franchise agreement.
So you'll see here the entire section, 133790. The only change here is the subsection A1 having to do with the franchise fee. It states the franchise fee of 3%, which is what's already in municipal code, but it also provides for the increase of that franchise fee to the maximum amount allowed by state law, provided that 90 days notice is given to NETC. So that is the only change from how it is currently codified.
Okay, any questions from the commission?
I just want to confirm with Jason, so if we wanted to raise the franchise fee from say 3 to 5%, it would take 2 readings to do that, because it'd be changed ordinance, plus the 90 days.
Yes, so the 90 days plus the 2 readings.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on. Next one is number 4, first reading of ordinance 1031. And again, North Dakota Telephone Company franchise agreement.
So this proposed ordinance 1031, this will, if it's adopted, be a new section to the municipal code, and it provides for renewal. When this chapter was written, it talks a lot about renewing, but it doesn't actually set forth that there will be a renewal. So, for example, if this contract or franchise agreement is not renewed, it will automatically renew upon. So it's necessary to add this in. It cites 3 different sections to give authority as to why the city can renew, and then provides a 15-year term effective upon adoption of the ordinance.
Okay. Again, is there any questions of the commission? Not. Item 5, first reading ordinance 1032, the North Dakota Telephone Company franchise agreement.
This ordinance repeals chapter 1339. That chapter actually has the same name that 1337 will have once, if all of these are adopted. Again, it's a redundant set of ordinances at this point. It doesn't need to be there. So, all of those are going to be incorporated into chapter 1337. So for that reason, 1339 can be repealed. Again, first reading, no action needs to be taken at this time.
Okay, once again, any questions of the commission? If not, we will move on to item 6. It pertains to a sale of lot 1, block 11 of the Roundhouse subdivision. Rob?
Yep, so a couple meetings ago, we went through the process of reclaiming this lot from Andrew Johnson. And part of the reason for that process was there's another party interested in developing on that lot. So this would be looking to sell that lot for $2,000 to Shane and Lisa Disa, with the caveat that they have to build within 2 years. If they don't build, then the city can reclaim it and that they would forfeit their $2,000. It would be my intention to recommend that if we do that, that my office would not allow any sort of reimbursement like has been done. I have had a conversation with Mr. Deseth about that, letting him know that that would be the intention, and he did not have any issue with that. One thing that should also be mentioned that I didn't have in my memo was that special assessments that are assessed to that property will go with the sale. So there's a balance that'll be due that will then be paid by the new owner.
And they're aware of that as well.
Yes.
So traditionally, we've been reimbursing that money back,
It's even though
even though it says.
even though it clearly states in the deed
Right.
that won't happen.
Yeah.
So it'll be, like I said, the intention of my office to make recommendations where I won't even recommend that in the future if we end up redoing it.
I think we did our last one at the.
Yeah.
And contingent
Question.
upon your pending approval of this, we'll make sure the minutes reflect that
Yeah.
sentiment. So that when people come back here, they look and who knows what was all.
Correct.
It's clearly stated.
Yep.
Correct.
Appreciate you mentioning that to them and making it clear.
So other than that, we recommend approval.
What's the wishes of the commission?
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Pierce,
I'll second.
Commissioner Hatch. Any further discussion? No further discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Eulenkamp,
I,
Commissioner Pierce.
Aye.
Commissioner Kanowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Hash.
Aye.
President Moe.
Aye, motion carries. Item 7, pay estimate number 7, finals for City Project 250102 on various mill and overlays. Mike?
This is the final pay estimate for work that was completed as part of our citywide mill and overlay project. We're releasing the retainage and paying for a couple of items that required payment. Total due the estimate is $98,851.32. Recommend approval.
Make a motion to approve the amount.
Commissioner Kanowski,
Second.
Commissioner Eulenkamp. Any further discussion?
You'll notice on the pay estimate, the actual total amount of work completed is actually under the contract amount, even with the work that we added for the cemetery. The reason for that is there were some bid items that we just didn't need as much of. We didn't do as much full depth dig outs and buying gravel and excavation and things like that. So draw your attention to it did come underneath what we were thinking we were going to spend.
Well, roll call.
Commissioner Eulenkamp.
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce.
Aye.
Kanowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Hack.
Aye.
President Moore.
Aye, motion carried. Item 8, pay estimate number 4, City Project 250104 for alleys and parking lots. Mike?
This is for the downtown alleys and the parking lots. As I had mentioned to the commission, we're paying everything other than the retainage. We're going to keep the contract open at this point so that we have a means to make some additional repairs and do some work next year. Total for the estimate is $11,746.68. Recommend approval.
Make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Pierce?
Second.
Commissioner Hatch? Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Eulenkamp.
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce.
Aye.
Commissioner Kanowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Hack.
Aye.
President Moore.
Aye, motion carried. Item 9, a resolution to create Street Improvement District 8626, City Project 260101. Mike?
Next year, as part of our capital improvement plan, we've identified repair work on the frontage roads associated with Highway 2. And so the Highway 2 frontage roads are on our federal aid system. We're able to access federal money for that. So we're going through the process with the Department of Transportation and Federal Highway to dot the i's and cross the t's, so to speak. When you have federal money allocated, you have to do a certain amount of paperwork with that. The district, as shown, is for properties that will be specially benefited as part of this work. So we're creating the district. As part of that district creation, look at the maps, look at the proposed improvements on the frontage roads, and then we will, you'll be directing me to prepare a preliminary engineering report. I'll bring that forward at a future meeting, and we'll identify the costs associated with the improvement. Recommend approval of the district.
I make a motion to approve the district as.
Commissioner Kanowski,
I'll second.
Commissioner Hatch. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 10, a resolution to create Street Improvement District 8726, City Project 260102.
So this is a district for mill and overlay work associated with roadways south of the railroad tracks and north of Highway 2 from College Drive going east to 8th Avenue. If you look at the blue lines on the map, the blue lines of the map is what we're envisioning right now as far as roadway improvements. We're not doing 5th Avenue, and nor are we doing 5th Street southeast. The reason for that is because they're on our federal aid system. And right now in our capital improvement plan and based on our planning with the Department of Transportation, we'll be doing 5th Street in 2027. This work is for 2026. We recently completed water main replacements in the area, so the water main infrastructure should be in good shape. That's the reason why if you look at 5th Street isn't highlighted in blue. We plan to do that the following year in 2027 with our federal aid work. Many of those roadways haven't been touched in some period of time, so It's one of the last big areas that we have as far as mill and overlay work. Recommend approval of the district.
Make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Euenkamp,
One second.
Commissioner Pierce. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 11, North Central Housing Authority yearly contribution, 10% payment in lieu of taxes. Pilot. This time, I believe, okay, Spencer.
I can
Go
just
ahead.
give a brief overview.
Okay.
So the housing authority and the city have had, a long-standing agreement since, a major project was developed in the 60s. And, because the housing authority, kind of similar to the post office, they're funded by HUD. So they don't pay property taxes or special assessments. And so, we have an arrangement with the housing authority of a payment in lieu of taxes, a pilot essentially. And what that pilot has been, over the last 50 plus years has been 10% of their rent revenue minus utilities expenses. And, really since I've been here, we've had some conversations with Tim Green, the executive director over there about, the payment for that. And they provided a memo kind of explaining that reasoning. But basically, just to recap some conversations I've had with Tim this year, they came and they provided a check for 10% of their rent revenue minus utilities expenses. In their memo, they talk about how they didn't have an agreement on file with their auditors or with HUD. I have supplied the agreement to Tim. They still want to pursue the conversation. And so really our agreement and what they have paid us traditionally has been the 10% of their rent revenue minus utilities expenses. That total would be just shy of $18,000. And so, again, they came and they provided us a check for $5,000 because they felt that was more fair and equitable. And so I pretty much in turn just said that this isn't satisfactory given our agreement, and you'll have to discuss with the commission if you want something different, but right now that's not sufficient. Adam Lightfund with the Housing Authority is here to speak on behalf of the Housing Authority. And they do have a memo attached. I included a listing of what they have paid us. I have the detailed listing since the 80s, what they paid, and then the agreement as well as city attorney opinion from the 60s. So, we'll turn over to you and Mr. Lightfund on that.
Okay, at this time, I'll call upon you, Adam, and please identify yourself for the record, if you would, please.
Of course. I'm gonna abstain. Part of it.
Okay.
My name's Adam Lightfund. I'm the chair of the North Central Housing Authority Board of Directors. I appreciate you allowing me to come visit with you this evening about the request that we put in to the city. I have to commend you guys. You're efficient. 25 minutes, and I thought I was going to be sitting here for a while.
Don't get used to it.
Don't get
Well,
on
I'll
top
try
of
to make sure I don't make your night longer than I need to. I appreciate Spencer to giving a overview of kind of how we came to this point. Basically, as was stated in our memo that we that's included in your packet, I guess, we're looking to possibly go from 10% to 5% of our pilot. Our rationale, a little bit about the North Central Housing Authority, so you guys at least have an understanding of what our mission is and what we do. I've been on the Housing Authority board since 2015, I believe. Back when I was on the county commission, I sat on it since then. And our mission is to provide high quality housing to low income and moderate income individuals and try to help them increase their self-sufficiency. That's our goal. So we have approximately 95 units. We do two different styles of housing. We have public housing, which it would be like Skyview, Sweetwater Apartments, Walnut, and then I'm trying to remember the name of the other one. I can't remember. 95 units approximately. Then that's all run locally. That's our public housing portion. Then we also run the Section 8 voucher program, which is accessed by individuals under a certain income level. They receive a voucher, then they can go out to any apartment unit that the owner agrees to take a voucher, and they can then essentially subsidize and offset housing costs. So that's a portion that we do as well. In Ramsey County specifically, I believe we're 100+ vouchers at this point in time. We also administer vouchers for Cavalier County, Griggs County, Towner County, and I believe Nelson, if I remember right. There's 5 counties. So that's kind of the scope of what we do. The reason our board is coming with this request is, so we have 4 board members, myself, Cale Strummy, Stephanie Armstrong, and Stan Dick from Cavalier County, who's a Cavalier County commissioner and sits on our board. We've had discussions over the past, as Spencer said, probably year to 2 years now, about what we feel as a board we could do with some of those dollars that we're paying in a pilot right now. We are not opposed to paying a portion of what we've paid in the past. We think that since we access city services, police protection, fire protection, all of those things, and we don't pay property taxes, of course we should pay something. We don't have a problem with that. Why we want to make the change is fairly simple, at least in my estimation. If we got all of our funding comes from 2 sources on the public housing side, and this is where we're talking about it. It comes from a HUD formula based upon our buildings, many different factors, but our occupancy rate, things of that nature, and rental income. The rental income is all structured and based upon HUD giving us guidelines. In those HUD dollars that pass through, we are not compensated for this pilot money. Unlike other property owners in the city of Devils Lake or any city in the state of North Dakota, if you increase a property tax or pay a property tax and you own an apartment building and the property tax increases, you pass it on. Anybody that owns an apartment building passes on a property tax. It's just how it's done. We cannot do that, and we are not compensated from HUD. So those dollars come directly from the money that we're receiving locally, essentially. So, and those rental rates are set. So we have basically no wiggle room whatsoever. Other authorities, in talking with our auditors and looking at other authorities in the state of North Dakota, pay anywhere from 0%, no pilot at all, to 10%. So, and a majority of them are in that 5% range. That's why we brought forward 5%, thinking that's a reasonable compromise and that we still pay something, but we would be able to hold some of those dollars back. As you can see in the agreement, if you've looked at it, it's from 1968. It's 57 years old. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask for a renegotiation or to look at a contract that's 57 years old. That was structured, if you look at the original dollars in the contract and the pilot, and I'm not a lawyer and I don't pretend to be. I do have a fine lawyer here. But how the contract is structured, a portion of that pilot was essentially based, I believe, to help pay down bonds structure an issue for the building of the buildings initially. None of that is there anymore. The County Housing Authority is a county entity now. I don't know when that changed. I honestly couldn't tell you from the history. I was always, until we saw this documentation, was under the impression that the county had been the structuring agent initially, but the city was, which is interesting. I don't know why it changed or when it changed. It must have something to do with the Housing Act or something of that nature. I don't know why that occurred. But we don't think it's unreasonable to look at the number at least and try to figure something out. Budget, our total budget, I can't give you the number off the top of our head, but $9,000 is a large portion of the budget dollars we have. I think we're under $500,000 total budget. It's basically all paying our staff to make sure we can run Section 8, we can run public housing, and all the rest of the money goes back into keeping the units as quality as we can so we can keep people housed. It's that simple. That's where the money goes. You all know federal funding is questionable. HUD is interesting right now. We don't know how much money we're going to continue to get back from them to keep those buildings. And unfortunately, as you know, the agreement was made in 68. All of this housing stock was built in the late 60s and early 70s. So every year it becomes more expensive to upkeep and maintain these properties. It's just that simple. So any dollar we can find, we want to use. So like I said, we acknowledge we want to pay something, but we feel that those dollars, any dollar we can find to use on our units to increase the quality of those units, would be helpful. The other thing that really kind of is non-beneficial to us is, if any of you have ever been in Skyview, we have a lot of 1-bedrooms, and then we have efficiency units. And the efficiency units are very small. And anytime we want to, in the past, we've tried to make some of those efficiencies into 1-bedrooms. It's very expensive. But that hurts our occupancy rate because nobody wants to rent those efficiency units. So then that kind of puts a knock on us from HUD as well, where we struggle to keep our occupancy up as much as we want to, but we're caught in the catch-22 because it takes money to turn the efficiencies into 1-bedrooms to get them rented, but we don't have the money to do it because HUD doesn't reimburse us as much. So those are kind of the various things. The one thing I would like to say too, and this is, I apologize, my printer at home did not print out very well, but is it okay if I hand you some
Sure.
documentation here? I just made 5 for the commissioners, and I highlighted the section that I'm looking at. And maybe I only have 4. I'm sorry. You guys can look together. Anyway, so what you're looking at is North Dakota Century Code. I should have made a copy for myself. But I underline the letter, the word may. It's not shall. We may pay a pilot. We're not required to pay a pilot. And under the documentation of the original agreement from 1968, it also says that we'll pay 10% or the lesser of provided under state century code. And that's not what we want to do.
Well,
At all.
you signed the agreement though, so that was indicating you're okay with the 10% at the time.
We were at the time, but that was 57 years
Yeah,
ago.
but we should like you said earlier, we should talk about the agreement.
Yes, and I'm fine with that. That's all we're asking is
Yeah.
for an open I shouldn't even say a renegotiation, a conversation on why we think that it's more reasonable to pay the 5 versus the 10.
But my thoughts would be is we should negotiate the agreement before we change the sum that's owed. You know, right now you're on a present agreement that we should be,
Well, and
honoring versus until we sit down and talk about what we want to do to restructure it.
well, in my inclination, we are honoring the agreement even if we pay nothing.
Well,
Because the section 3 of the agreement states that we can pay the lesser amount of 10% or what state century code states. And state century code says we may pay. We don't,
Right.
It's not shall. It's not a requirement. There are other housing authorities that pay nothing in the state of North Dakota. We don't want to pay nothing.
yeah.
That's not what we're
Well,
asking.
and we're not saying we won't sit down and discuss it, but I think my personal thing is we fix the agreement before we fix the amount. And then to come to a consensus on what's agreed.
And I don't think that's an unreasonable approach. The one thing I would say is that if we're going to work through this agreement, I would have to take it back to the board and make sure that we pay that second portion of 5% for this year because
Well, we
it's a
budget,
process going through HUD.
we budgeted accordingly, of course, too, so
Yes.
we budgeted according to getting the sum that was agreed upon years ago.
Of course.
So we have to also make adjustments if we change it to our budget process. So that's what I'm saying.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
No, go ahead.
Where do you guys budget that money that comes from us for?
It goes to the general account.
Just to the general account?
Right in the general fund.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I may, right?
Go ahead.
So there's 2 sides, right? So again, the sum this year of this pilot is a total of about $9,000, right? So like for next year, we're cutting funding to the homeless shelter. We're cutting funding to the Lake Region UAS team, a variety of sources, all in the $7,000, right? So just saying, you know what, we'll just cut down 5%. I mean, that has real consequences, especially for next year. And Adam, you're a good-natured human being. I appreciate you, and reasonable minds can disagree, but I really wish the housing authority went to provide it just, here's your 5%, and now let's renegotiate for next year. I mean, really, especially in December, I mean, the agreement has said 10%. We paid 10% for 57 years.
Yeah.
We should be paying 10% this year, and if we want to renegotiate, we can. And I've had this conversation with Tim in 2023. I had it with him in 2024, but there was never a request to renegotiate, right? So I think the timing at this point is a little unreasonable from the city's perspective. But that doesn't mean that we can't come to some sort of agreement at a percentage or to cap something or what.
And that's, I appreciate your comment. I would say that I think the discussion we've had in our boardroom was Tim felt that by approaching you initially, that we were opening that discussion to renegotiation.
Yeah, but,
and then it never occurred.
but then they come in December of the final year and say, here's your check
Yeah,
for
but
half
this-
the amount. That's a
But
little
we started
disrespectful
it,
to say.
we started it 2 or 3 years ago. And we felt that we were going to start this discussion and then we just never got anywhere is kind of how we felt. So I apologize if that was a misconstrued thing, or maybe the information was being passed back and forth incorrectly. That was not our intent. I will be more than happy to say, since you guys have the budget, I will go back. I will talk with our board and see if that is something that they're willing to do for this year, and then we can renegotiate after the first of next year, if that's okay with everyone. I can't guarantee that I can make my board do that, but I think that we can probably make something like that work.
And I just want to make it abundantly clear, it's just city commission about how, right? I mean, the check for the 10% was provided. I said, we're really not a big fan of their current arrangement and we want to talk about it later. And then again, the check would come the next year and the check would come the next, right? And so it wasn't like there was another follow-up phone call saying, hey, we want to sit down.
Well,
at the table work this out.
And I might not have as much information as I need from my side either. I'll be the first one to admit that maybe I misunderstood Tim. That's possible. Maybe Tim was trying to explain something and I misunderstood.
Jason, can you read that and then give your opinion on what the word may, how it's written in that?
Like I said, I'm not a lawyer. Ask the lawyer.
Yeah,
Well-
so we're not interpreting that wrong, that word
Mhm.
wrong.
I think that's completely reasonable.
You know. Because it says I may build on my house too, but I have to,
Well, I relate it to, what if I didn't like my property tax? I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna give you 50% because I feel that's all my house is worth.
But that,
If we had that happen with everybody.
I don't
that would
disagree
be,
with you, Mayor, but it's structured in Century Code that it's right in our original 68 agreement that you cannot put anything against our buildings. You can't lien us. You can't do anything.
That doesn't,
If I may.
that wouldn't sit well with a lot of people.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
Right. I mean, we're trying to work with everybody,
Yes.
but when you budget
As
with,
are we.
yes.
We just want to come to some type of an agreement. That's all.
So Commissioner Pearson, response to your question, the word may, you need to go to the word that immediately follows it, may agree. So they may agree to make payments. That's what occurred in this cooperation agreement of 1960. I'm not sure of the exact date.
I think it started in 66 and then it was signed in 68.
So
Yeah.
I don't read this to say an authority may pay, but rather may agree to make payments. And you have that agreement.
Okay.
Again, it's 57 or so years old, but
So by what that said, you've agreed to this, for this year, you agreed that there would be that 10%. So I think, in all fairness, like the mayor was saying, take that payment that's due to the city, pay that for this year, and then we can sit down and have a good, good, I'm trying to think of the word, but
Discussion.
a good faith discussion on how it will follow.
I think that's a reasonable approach. I agree.
Because it's, and I understand the money cost of everything on this, and what you guys do is amazing. But as the mayor said, I just wanted to make the point that we've already budgeted that money, which shortfalls the city. It doesn't seem like a lot of money, but it really actually is.
I'd have to be budgeted.
It's
for
a lot of
next
money
year as
to
well.
both parties.
We have budgeted for it for
You
next year.
budgeted for 26 as well. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's part of the discussion that we can have at our boardroom too about, do we want to have this discussion after the first of the
No, I
year,
think we
previous
should-
to your budget cycle
could-
for 27?
We could have the discussion coming up in the new year
Yes,
and
yes,
for the
but it
fall,
would be
for the
for
27.
the 27 year. And
For the
I
27
think
year.
that's a reasonable compromise. I'm, like I said, we're not looking to back out of anything here.
Yeah.
We just, we're tight just like you are.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, $9,000 doesn't seem like a lot,
It's a
but
lot to both parties.
It's a lot
I just
to
wanted
us as
make
well.
sure legally we're both at that level playing field legally, that we understand what the wording means, what the intent is with state Century Code.
Yeah.
So we're both, one's not going to take advantage of the other, or one's going to disagree with the other, if we can agree on the wording of it, and then go from there.
yeah,
So
I think that's a fair assessment.
I think the best thing we could do is have your administrator and our administrator set up a meeting to have a discussion regarding the
Okay.
2027.
I can provide a letter to the housing authority just recapping the conversation, right? But I want to make sure that I full understanding and support from the commission is basically saying that the 5% payment that I currently have in my office is
It's down to
insufficient.
legit, yeah.
We're expecting the 10% for this year.
And
We
then,
will open
yeah,
a dialogue
this year and next year.
for
Yeah.
2026 and 27 and beyond.
Okay, I'm not, I think that's a reasonable approach. I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, I'm only me.
Yep.
I can't speak for the other members of my board.
Right.
We won't be meeting again until, what is it today? Next week or the week after, I believe. So we can sit down and we can have that discussion and I can get back to you, or Tim can get back to you on how we're gonna handle it. I don't wanna put the city in a bad situation too. I know you budgeted. I just didn't know that your situation was as tight. Everybody's is,
Well,
unfortunately.
everybody wants refunds on their property tax, so you
Yeah.
gotta, we've been mandated by the state, as you are well.
With the 3%, yes.
It is,
So it's put a bind on everybody on a lot of
this is a
different things.
much needed organization for this town. We noticed that with the problems we have with needed housing right now as it is. It's, like you said at the beginning, the police are taking, you got all these, like you said, all these other entities of the city that you're not paying taxes
Yeah,
toward.
and we know
And they're there sometimes more than other places, but
Possibly.
it's just, yeah. But I agree with you. We need to sit down and talk.
And like I said, I think that's a reasonable approach to it. I'll take that back to my board and then we'll see where we go.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks,
Thank you.
Adam.
Thank you.
All right. No action required on this. Okay. Next item is the citizen comment. We have nothing. Nothing under informational items? And the last item is a motion to approve the payment of listed bills as submitted.
Motion to approve the bills.
Commissioner Hatch,
Submitted.
Second.
Commissioner Eulenkamp. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Eulenkamp.
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce.
Aye.
Commissioner Kanowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Hatch.
Aye.
President Mo.
Aye, motion carried. Are there any other items to come before the commission? If not,
Merry Christmas, everybody. Oh, wait,
yeah,
one
it's
more.
getting close. We got one more meeting.
I'm thinking we're starting this meeting.
Getting closer. Okay,
Tomorrow.
meeting adjourned.